What if the biggest obstacle in your life isn't a lack of talent, but a mind trained to seek comfort instead of challenge? Every morning, you make a choice. Most of the time, you don't even notice it. You either move toward what is easy, or you move toward what makes you stronger. Centuries ago, in the frozen lands of Scandinavia, there lived people who had no luxury of waiting until they felt motivated. Survival demanded something greater than motivation. It demanded discipline so deeply rooted that action came before emotion. The Vikings are often remembered for their ships, their battles, and their conquests. But behind every legendary voyage was a mindset, one that transformed ordinary people into individuals capable of facing storms, uncertainty, and fear without hesitation. And here's the surprising part. That same mindset can still reshape your life today. Because the greatest battle the Vikings ever fought wasn't always against enemies across the sea. It was against weakness within themselves. When most people hear the word Viking, they imagine fierce warriors charging into battle with axes raised high. Popular culture celebrates their strength, their courage, and their fearlessness. But the real power of Norse culture wasn't simply physical. It was psychological. Life in the Viking Age was unpredictable. Harsh winters, dangerous oceans, failed harvests, and constant uncertainty meant there was no guarantee of tomorrow. Waiting for perfect conditions wasn't an option. Complaining changed nothing. Fear solved nothing. Instead, the Norse developed a way of thinking that accepted hardship as a permanent part of existence. This acceptance created extraordinary resilience. Today, our challenges look different. Deadlines replace storms. Financial pressure replaces failed harvests. Anxiety replaces the fear of enemy raids. Yet our greatest struggle remains remarkably similar. How do you keep moving forward when life becomes uncomfortable? The Viking answer wasn't complicated. Train yourself until discipline becomes your nature. Let's uncover the principles that made this possible. Stop negotiating with discomfort. Imagine standing on the shore before a voyage across the North Atlantic. The sea is violent. The weather is unpredictable. There is no guarantee you'll return home. Would you wait until you felt ready? No Viking could afford that luxury. Preparation mattered. Commitment mattered. Action mattered. Fear was expected, but it was never allowed to make the decision. Modern life creates a different kind of negotiation. I'll start tomorrow. I don't feel focused today. I'll work harder next week. Every excuse feels reasonable because comfort always has convincing arguments. The Viking mindset rejects this negotiation entirely. Discomfort isn't a warning sign. It's proof that you're stepping beyond the limits of your current self. Every difficult workout. Every uncomfortable conversation. Every hour spent learning instead of scrolling. These are modern equivalents of launching a ship into uncertain waters. Discipline begins the moment you stop asking whether you feel like acting. But this raises an important question. If discomfort becomes normal, what happens to fear? Fear never disappears, but it can be outgrown. The Vikings never believed courage meant the absence of fear. In the Norse sagas, heroes often recognized danger clearly. They simply refused to let fear dictate their actions. This distinction changes everything. Most people waste enormous energy trying to eliminate fear. The Viking approach was different. Expand yourself until fear occupies less space. Think about learning a new skill. At first, everything feels intimidating. Speaking in public. Starting a business. Changing careers. Leading a team. Fear dominates because your experience is small. But every repetition expands your capacity. Eventually, what once terrified you becomes ordinary. The challenge didn't shrink. You grew larger than it. The Vikings understood that strength is accumulated through repeated exposure to hardship. Not once. Not occasionally. Every single day. And that leads to another overlooked principle. Consistency always defeats intensity. Small daily victories build legendary strength. History often remembers dramatic moments. The famous battles. The great explorations. The legendary leaders. But history rarely records the thousands of ordinary mornings that made those moments possible. A Viking ship wasn't built overnight. A skilled warrior wasn't created in a single battle. Every achievement rested upon countless acts of disciplined repetition. Today's culture loves dramatic transformations. 30-day challenges. Overnight success. Instant breakthroughs. The Viking mindset values something quieter. Small victories repeated relentlessly. Reading 10 pages every day. Training when no one is watching. Keeping promises made to yourself. Choosing discipline when nobody will ever applaud. These actions appear insignificant. Until years pass. Then they become impossible to ignore. Most people underestimate what consistency can accomplish because the results are invisible in the beginning. The Vikings understood that invisible progress is still progress. And once you truly understand this, your relationship with failure begins to change. Failure is information, not identity. The Norse world was full of uncertainty. Ships were lost. Harvests failed. Battles ended in defeat. No amount of preparation guaranteed success. If failure automatically destroyed someone's confidence, survival would have been impossible. Instead, failure became a teacher. Every setback carried information. Every mistake revealed weakness. Every obstacle exposed something that needed improvement. Modern people often make a dangerous mistake. They don't say, "I failed." They say, "I am a failure." Those two statements are worlds apart. One describes an event. The other creates an identity. The Viking mindset never confuses temporary defeat with permanent character. You lose. You learn. You adapt. You continue. The ocean doesn't care about your feelings. Reality doesn't negotiate. So your energy is better spent adjusting than complaining. This mindset creates something incredibly powerful. Emotional stability. And emotional stability opens the door to perhaps the greatest Viking strength of all. Honor is built through action. In Norse culture, reputation mattered deeply. Not because of status. Because your actions defined who you truly were. Promises carried weight. Loyalty mattered. Courage mattered. Reliability mattered. Words alone meant very little. Today, many people become trapped inside self-image. They want to appear disciplined. Appear successful. Appear confident. The Viking perspective asks a different question. Who are you when nobody is watching? Do you keep your commitments? Do you finish what you begin? Do you remain dependable when life becomes difficult? Identity isn't built through declarations. It's built through repeated behavior. Every disciplined action becomes evidence. Eventually, your confidence no longer depends on positive thinking. It depends on proof. You trust yourself because you've earned that trust. This is why genuine confidence cannot be faked. It must be constructed. One action at a time. But there is one final obstacle that destroys discipline more than almost anything else. The desire for certainty. Move before certainty arrives. The sea was never perfectly calm. The weather forecast didn't exist. The Vikings could prepare. They could observe. But eventually, they had to leave the shore. Many dreams die because people confuse preparation with progress. They research endlessly, plan endlessly, think endlessly. Meanwhile, life quietly moves on. The Viking mindset recognizes a simple truth. Perfect certainty never arrives. Action creates clarity. Not the other way around. Want to build a healthier body? Begin. Want to write a book? Write one page. Want to create a business? Serve one customer. The path becomes visible only after movement begins. Ships discover currents while sailing, never while anchored. And this principle leads directly to the most transformative lesson of all. Become the kind of person who cannot be stopped. Perhaps the greatest secret of the Viking mindset isn't toughness. It isn't bravery. It isn't physical strength. It's identity. The Vikings didn't wake up each day asking, "Should I be disciplined today?" Discipline wasn't a temporary activity. It was part of who they believed themselves to be. That changes everything. Most people focus on individual decisions. I need to exercise. I need to wake up earlier. I need to stop procrastinating. The Viking mindset asks a deeper question. Who must I become so these actions happen naturally? A disciplined person doesn't constantly battle every decision. Their identity reduces the need for negotiation. Imagine someone who sees themselves as reliable. Keeping promises becomes automatic. Imagine someone who truly believes they are resilient. Hardship becomes expected instead of shocking. Imagine becoming someone whose standards are stronger than temporary emotions. This is the foundation of fearless discipline. Not forcing yourself forever. Transforming yourself until discipline becomes your default response. The Vikings understood that destiny isn't shaped by isolated moments of courage. It's shaped by thousands of ordinary choices made long before anyone notices. Every morning. Every difficult conversation. Every temptation resisted. Every promise kept. These moments quietly build a person capable of extraordinary things. Long before the world ever sees the results. The Viking mindset was never about glorifying conflict. It was about mastering yourself. Accept discomfort instead of avoiding it. Grow larger than your fears. Value consistency over intensity. Learn from failure instead of identifying with it. Build honor through action. Move before certainty appears. And above all, become the kind of person whose discipline no longer depends on motivation. Because motivation comes and goes. Emotions rise and fall. Circumstances constantly change. But character endures. The storms of life will always arrive. The question is whether you'll spend your energy wishing for calmer seas, or building the strength to sail through them. The Vikings left behind no secret formula for success. They left behind something far more valuable. A reminder that greatness belongs to those who choose action over comfort, responsibility over excuses, and discipline over fleeting emotion. So tomorrow morning, when comfort whispers that you can wait one more day, remember this. Every decision is shaping the person you'll become. Choose wisely. If you found value in this journey into the Viking mindset, leave a comment sharing which principle challenged you the most. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more timeless lessons from history that can transform the way you live today.